I recently shared a video, and in the video I talked about that spiritually we are in a dark place in our culture, and it's having a really big impact on our children. And I talked about the fact that we don't get to a spiritually dark place unless the gatekeepers regarding spiritual matters and the moral fabric of a nation, unless they have been silent. And darkness doesn't happen overnight. The type of darkness that we are experiencing, it happens over a period of time. Little by little, the enemy comes in with leaven. He comes in with darkness. He creeps in through the culture, through the music. He creeps in the areas where we're the most unaware that he would even be. That is how Satan works. Remember, the Bible says that the serpent was more subtle than any other beast, and that means he was crafty, he was cunning. That spirit is still alive and well today. And so when we see the darkness, when we see the young generation who have experienced so much, they grew up in nothing but darkness. They've experienced so much anxiety and stress because they've seen so much violence, and they have suffered so much loss at such a young age. And we see them dealing with depression, suicide, and anxiety. And they grew up in a time where the music, the movies, the television shows are just full of darkness. So they don't know anything better. They don't know anything more. And so God depends on the mature, older spiritual leadership. I talked about in that video that there's a theme throughout the Old Testament where God spoke to his prophets and said it was always the priests, the prophets, and the elders. Those are his gatekeepers, the priests, the prophets, and the elders. But when they remain silent over a long period of time, darkness comes in. And we can see that model in the Bible. This is why in the book of Isaiah, the prophet said that we're supposed to teach God's precepts little by little, line by line. This was supposed to happen over a period of time so that God's sheep get wiser and wiser, and they can discern the difference between the holy and profane and good and evil. But when we neglect to do that, and not only we neglect to teach those precepts line by line, we align ourselves with the culture, darkness comes in. And God is not pleased.